Imagine a hot, dry valley in ancient Israel, with the sounds of soldiers preparing for battle echoing off the hillsides. The sun is blazing, casting long shadows over the rocky terrain. On one hill stands the army of Israel, and on the other, the Philistines, two nations locked in a tense standoff. But there's no fighting. Why? Because every day, one man steps forward from the Philistine camp, a giant named Goliath, a warrior whose size and strength make him seem unstoppable. And every day, he calls out a challenge. Choose one man to come fight me. If he defeats me, we'll be your servants. But if I win, you'll be ours. The Israelites are terrified. No one dares to face him. And this has gone on for 40 days. Now, while all this is happening, a young boy named David is miles away, tending sheep on a quiet hillside. David is the youngest of 8 brothers, a simple shepherd, and he spends his days protecting his father's flock, playing his harp, and praying. David's life is humble, but he's no stranger to danger. Over the years, he's defended his sheep from lions and bears, learning to rely on God's strength, even in the face of fierce predators. One day, David's father, Jesse, sends him to the battlefield to bring food to his brothers and get news of the war. David arrives, curious and eager to see the action, but instead, he finds the Israelite army frozen in fear, their courage shattered by Goliath's taunts. As David arrives, he hears Goliath's voice, ringing across the valley, challenging the Israelites, mocking them, and worse, mocking their God. David is shocked. How can this giant openly defy the armies of the living God? He looks around, but no one is stepping up. Even King Saul, a warrior himself, seems paralyzed by fear, and David can't understand it. To him, this isn't just a man taunting the army, it's a challenge to God himself. So, young David begins to ask questions. Why won't anyone fight him? His brothers are embarrassed and annoyed by his questions. They scold him, saying, "Why have you come here? You're just a shepherd. Go back to your sheep." But David's heart is already set. He isn't interested in the glory of battle. He's thinking of defending God's name. Word reaches King Saul that someone is willing to face Goliath. Saul is desperate enough to hear out this young shepherd boy. David approaches him and says, "Let no one lose heart because of this Philistine. I will go and fight him." Saul is taken aback. David has no training, no armor, no experience in battle. But David explains, "When I was tending my father's sheep, I fought lions and bears. The Lord who rescued me then will rescue me now from this Philistine." Saul doesn't fully understand David's confidence, but he sees the fire in David's eyes and agrees to let him go. Saul tries to dress David in his own armor, but it doesn't fit. David moves awkwardly in the heavy metal and says, "I can't go in these." He takes off the armor and decides to fight Goliath as he is, with nothing but his shepherd's sling and 5 smooth stones from a nearby stream. Let's pause here for a moment. David chooses 5 small stones, not swords, not armor, just stones. These stones represent humility and faith. David isn't trying to become a warrior overnight. He's relying on the tools and skills he's already mastered. And this is a lesson for us too. We don't have to be someone we're not to face our own giants. Instead, we can use what we have, trusting that with God, our efforts, no matter how small, can be enough. So, David steps onto the battlefield, a shepherd boy against a seasoned warrior nearly twice his size. As Goliath sees him, he laughs. He says, "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" The giant is insulted. He can't believe this is who the Israelites sent to fight him. But David isn't intimidated. He stands his ground, looks Goliath in the eye, and says, "You come against me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, whom you have defied. Today the Lord will deliver you into my hands." In that moment, David reaches into his pouch, takes out a stone, and places it in his sling. He swings it, faster and faster, building momentum. The entire Philistine and Israelite armies are watching, holding their breath. And then, with one swift motion, David releases the stone. It flies through the air, straight toward Goliath, striking him in the forehead. The stone sinks into Goliath's head, and the giant staggers. Then, with a thunderous crash, he falls face first onto the ground. Silence fills the valley. No one can believe what they've just witnessed. A shepherd boy defeated a giant with a single stone. David steps forward, victorious, not because of his own strength, but because of his faith in God. So, what can we take away from David's story? First, we see incredible courage, but not the kind that comes from confidence in one's own abilities. David's courage came from his faith, his trust that God would be with him, no matter what. Second, David shows us that you don't need the perfect conditions to overcome challenges. He didn't wait until he had armor or training. He simply used what he knew, and it was enough. Just like David, we can look at the skills, resources, and faith we have and realize that these are enough to face our own challenges. Finally, David's story is a reminder that sometimes the biggest victories come from the least expected places. David was overlooked by everyone, even his family. But God had a purpose for him. And in the same way, we should remember that even if we feel small or overlooked, we each have a purpose. To recap, 1. Have faith in God's power. David's strength wasn't his own. It was his trust in God that made him fearless. 2. Use what you have. David didn't try to be anyone else. He used the tools he knew best. 3. Believe in your purpose. Even if others doubt you, know that God has a plan for you. This story reminds us that the battles we face, no matter how big they seem, can be overcome with faith and courage. It's a message of hope for all of us. Thank you for watching. If this story of faith and courage resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need a little encouragement today. Remember, whatever giants you're facing, you don't have to face them alone. I'll see you next time with more stories of faith, courage, and the power of belief.